Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 22nd Lebanon Board of Works meeting. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now move on to the roll call members. Madam Clerk, call roll, please.
Mayor Gentry,
Present.
Becky McClure,
He's excused.
Bill Stoner,
Present.
Dick Robertson,
Present.
Alan Milburn.
Present.
Okay, with that, move on to the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. Are there any edits or changes to the minutes? Would you entertain a motion to approve?
I make a motion we approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve from Bill. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second from Alan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are approved. All right, move on to department head reports. First up is Police Department. Chief Morgan.
Good evening, board members. Since our last meeting, the Lebanon Police Department has responded to 666 calls for service. 18 people were arrested during that same time frame. 8 for operating while intoxicated, 1 wanted on a warrant, 2 for possession of meth, 1 for battery on an officer, 1 for criminal recklessness, 2 for possession of marijuana, 1 for theft, 1 for auto theft, and 1 identity deception. In that same time frame, 17 handgun carry licenses were sent off to the state for final approval. March 8th and 9th, Detective Captain Dickerson completed a training course covering safety and mental wellness for investigators. March 8th through the 12th, Detective Houston completed the Public Agency Training Council's new detective and investigator course. This is a 40-hour course that's recommended for all new investigators. Starting today, March 22nd, Sergeant Williamson is conducting mandatory de-escalation training for the whole department. This will be going on all week. Like I said, it's mandatory. All officers will go through it, including me. Starting 1st of April, we're going to have the bike patrol back out. They're mainly going to be hitting the walking trail and the parks to start out with, so you'll be seeing them out. Jackson Bland, our latest hire, he will give us a full department, first time in a decade, a little over. He has passed perf, so his first day will be March 31st.
Does he have to go to the academy then after that, or?
Well, we're on a waiting list.
Okay.
Due to COVID and everything, they're so backed up, but we made a few phone calls and asked, so they're going to try and get him in.
Okay.
That'll be in June, hopefully.
Yep.
On the 19th, Scott Hood started his new position as major. We didn't do the promotion ceremony here because his son was on leave from the military, so if we did it on Thursday, then his son could pin his collar brass on him. So we went ahead and did it at the station for him. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief on the board?
I want, Chief, is the, did the sheriff open up the jail now? You can take prisoners out to the jail?
No, it's still the
not
same, same as it has been.
Okay.
So
I didn't know. I thought they-
I know they're talking here shortly that they're going to start loosening it up a little bit, but it's still the same as it has
I
been.
didn't know if they had it yet or not.
No.
Thank you, Dick. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up is Fire Department, Deputy Chief Baird.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Works. Since the last Board of Works meeting, we have responded to 123 emergency calls, logged 302 training hours, and completed 50 commercial inspections, and installed and checked 1 car seat. Last week, LFD hosted live VEIS, which is Vent, Enter, Isolate, Search training. LFD was joined by Whitestown and Center Township Fire Departments. Special thanks to the Whitestown administrative staff, Assistant Chief Mark Brown of Center Township, and Boone County EMS Medical 11 for their assistance. March 16th marks the 1-year anniversary for firefighters Preston Applett and Sean Yancey. Due to the COVID-19 restrictions last March, we were unable to do a formal swearing in. Preston and Sean were both hired through a lateral transfer, and both are doing very well and doing a great job. March 14th through the 20th was severe weather preparation week in Indiana. All tornado sirens in the city are in working order at this time. Also, the fire service contracts have been renewed for Clinton and Harrison Townships. That's all we got.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Any questions for Chief Baird? Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir. Next up is Parks Department, John Messenger.
Good evening. Enjoying this weather, aren't we? Absolutely, it's beautiful. Since our last Board of Works meeting, we have had some great weather such as today and a lot of activity in all the parks. At Reese Park right now we have LISA, the Lebanon Youth Soccer Association. They've started their practices along with competition starting soon. You also see some equipment out there with, it's the utilities that have contracted out to do a lot of the work out there in the area. So they're staging that. In turn, they will put a lot of gravel in there and clean up the area. They've already done the gravel work, but it was a nice trade-off to let them stage somewhere and do that work. Memorial Park, Lebanon High School baseball practice started and games coming up in April. We have a pretty good pitcher out there, signed as a freshman to Cincinnati, and I think the pros are looking at him. So if you get a chance, get out to the baseball diamond and check him out. Hopefully the team will have a very good, successful year this year. We also, cross country and track, I guess it's really track, they're running around in the afternoon. Playground equipment, walking paths, pickleball, and basketball have all been very popular, so just be mindful of all the patrons in the park. There's a lot of activity, and just be slowing down if you could, please, and watching out for the little ones. Abner Longley Park, we have fishing is now open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Conservation Pond, and the hot pond across the street is open 7 days a week, so you can fish there. We also have some electrical work that we're doing to install our fountain at the conservation pond, so there's an excavator out there. We'll have that done, probably completed by Wednesday, and Utilities is helping us with a transformer to put in there so we can have electric at all times back there, which will benefit us in the future too, but nice to work with Utilities on several projects. The dog parks patrons are right now around 160. Softball field is rented steadily with many practices coming up due to the Little League opening up, so that will be very busy at Abner Longley Park. Along with the RC course, it's very popular. Had a first spring event this last weekend. Over 100, I saw over 100 people there this weekend. Real nice event, good turnout. Fort Wayne, Evansville, Illinois were just some of the people around there. So they're traveling to come into climb our course, and that's very encouraging. A lot of work went in on that. Volunteer gave him a plaque this at the park board meeting for his volunteerism. He's done that all on his own with a lot of donations and help from others, but Stan does a great job down there. We appreciate his help. Table and chairs have been set up outside the courthouse along with the picnic tables throughout the park. With the spring weather, we aren't putting the umbrellas out right now. They tend to take off on us, and needless to say, we don't want them damaged, so we're going to leave those chairs out. I think the courthouse people and people downtown will enjoy those tables. They've been an asset. Maintenance, we put drop ceiling at the baseball field press box. Also painted indoors, installed, today we installed a new rubber roof, had to take the air conditioner. Again, Utilities came and helped us hoist the rubber up there, which was ridiculously heavy, along with taking the air conditioner down, and first rubber roof I've ever put on. It was pretty cool, pretty easy too, but nice job to the maintenance. We had 15, I think there were around 15 parents volunteered Saturday to help out with some of the cleaning and painting of the dugouts and storage building there. They did very nice work. It was really nice to see them come out and help. A lot of them are parents of the players of the team, and it was really nice to have a nice working session, and pizza had for everybody, so it was really nice. We've taken out 4 trees in the past couple weeks and have removed the old concession stand by the playground. There's one more big catappa tree. That's why you still see the snow fence around there. So again, please try and keep your children and people away from that. Hopefully it'll be dry enough this week that we can knock that other tree down. I'm trying to keep the footprint as clean as I can without messing anything up. There again, we'll be putting in a new all-inclusive playground and shelter in coming soon, probably right after the 4th of July. Looking forward to that, and we're prepping for it. We also removed about 7 trees after this last storm where we got 19 million winds, and it was crazy. All the 2.5 inches of rain. About 7 trees down from here to Thorntown, which we brought a chainsaw out. We were prepared, got it all cleaned up. We've treated all the sports fields and started mulching downtown, or we're finished mulching downtown, and now we're doing throughout the parks and cleaning those up. I want to thank Chad and Tony Bales for helping with some of the more vandalism activity that's been happening lately. Those and the detectives are doing a fine job. Our cameras are second to none, and we're catching the culprits. The last culprit wanted to dent in a steel door, and it's real frustrating, but they're going to pay the consequences. And again, thanks to the police help on that and their detectives. Also want to thank Dave and the street department, Dave and Tom and their crew for coming out and help us reconstruct a storm drain that's really been giving us a lot of problem, and also in preparation to put the asphalt at the baseball diamond. We pulled all the bleachers out, and they came out and did a fantastic job. Want to thank them for that. Current and upcoming programs, we've teamed up with Let's Go Sports again this year, and we'll be offering Tiny Hitters T-Ball and All Sports Champs. Both programs are designed for 3 to 5-year-olds. Visit our Facebook page for more information on how to register. Spring Pickleball League, it starts this Saturday. Big thing there. It's really nice turnout that we've had. Co-ed, men's and women's leagues, and really excited about that. Again, people come from all over. I think, Matt, you're a pretty good pickleball player. You got a team in there. I think you see it yourself, how they're coming from Crawfordsville, has no courts, and these are some of the nicest courts around. So that's really good feedback that we hear. Our scavenger hunt is now available and will run until April 1st. You can find the hunt on our Facebook page or stop into the park's office. After you get done, be sure to stop back up in the park office once you've completed the hunt to claim your prize. And as I said before, the guys really like it, that part of that scavenger hunt is picking up 3 pieces of trash, taking pictures of it, so that's really nice. Our Easter egg hunt is set for Saturday, April 3rd. The hunts will start at 10:30 a.m. in Memorial Park. There again, depending on rain where we have it, it could be at the cabin or at the stage, the Joe Habush Memorial stage. The age groups are 2 to 4, 5 to 7, and 8 to 10. It's all free. Each egg hunt winner will receive a special prize from the Easter Bunny. I want to thank Miss Bohannon's class from the high school for stuffing the thousands and thousands of Easter eggs for the hunt. And also want to thank Jack Carroll and Purity Wholesale for their in-kind donation, not only monetary, but a lot of chocolate bars that the Easter Bunny will be passing out on that day. And that's all I had, and hope everybody has a good Easter.
Thank you, John. Any questions for John from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up is Engineering Department, Kevin Krulik.
Thank you, board members. Engineering report for March 22nd. Hard to believe we're that far into the year already, but obviously the weather is turning and it feels good out there, and excited to get into some construction projects. First one really on the list is our resurfacing projects through our community crossing matching grant program. No real update on when that will begin at this point. The contractor has a pretty flexible schedule, but we are in the process of awarding all of our final contracts, or not awarding, the contracts have been awarding, but executing all of our final contracts with the state on the community crossing grant funds. Now that we have the bridge award pending for later in the evening, that will wrap up those things and we can put all those state contracts behind us. Speaking of some state projects, I just want to remind everyone that NDOT does plan to redo the intersection of 39 and 32 this summer. With that will be an upgrade of the street stop lights to decorative material to match what we did downtown. And we will be participating on the cost for those upcharges, but more to come on that when we know a schedule. All we know at this point is they are planning to let that and construct that this summer. On that note, I get a lot of questions about the State Road 32 and Ping Drive street light right there next to ICP, and maybe another sure sign that spring is here. ICP is open, and a lot more traffic going through that intersection and getting a lot of questions of when we're going to put that stoplight up. Well, just to remind everyone, it's NDOT's stoplight, it's NDOT's decision. The city has no bearing on that. I can tell you firsthand, we have asked, we have begged, we have done all we can. We met with NDOT again week before last, and the answer is still the same. The light will go up as soon as the traffic is being generated with the development on the south side of the road in Gateway Marketplace. So they're continuing to monitor that, but until that traffic is there, they will not let the stoplight heads be hung. Let's see, Whit Road, jumping back to some of our projects, the Whit Road Bridge. Bid award is expected later this evening. Expect to award the contract to HIS Constructors for a total price of about $745,000. If you look at total costs on the project, we had about $160,000 in pre-construction. That's everything from surveys, engineering, right-of-way design, right-of-way acquisitions. We've got about another $25,000 in construction inspections, holding on to about 10%, about $74,000 for contingencies. Leads us to a total project cost for that bridge of $1 million, just over $1 million. But I remind you that we received a community crossing matching grant for $329,000. So that will be applied to that, and our total cost will be in the neighborhood of $674,000. The bridge will be closed, remind everyone, for about 45 days, not till the end of the summer, early fall, but we'll do a full closure for 45 days. Inspection services have been awarded, and we're getting ready to have our pre-construction meeting as soon as we can get the contractor fully under contract and be ready to go.
And just a reminder for the public, Brent Whit has been requested to be the contact if you have any complaints about the bridge closure. He has volunteered to be that liaison for the city, so. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead,
All
Kevin,
right.
sorry.
We'll make sure of that. Let's see, utility coordination and relocations are supposed to, utility coordinations are already been completed. Relocations are expected to start yet this month or going into April. Right-of-way buying is proceeding. We only have 3 parcels to buy, totaling about $45,000, and one of those is now complete. There are 2 more that are pending. One is a small one that, actually, given the nature, it's owned by the people that own Kais Estates, and we may have to proceed with condemnation proceedings to finalize that. We're just not getting any responses from the people at Kais Estates or their legal representation. So it is literally 0.02 acres. It's just a small strip of land that they own across along the edge of the ditch, and yeah, unfortunately, it's going to have to come to that just so that we can get action there. But that is moving forward, and again, expect bridge construction to start in September, be wrapped up by no later than December 1st. Remind everyone that we're replacing the whole structure. We'll have 2 11-foot lanes. We'll have a protected path on the west side. We will have a 5-foot sidewalk on the east side, and it'll be nice to have a new widened bridge there for the future growth in that area. Then speaking of bridges, the Elmwood Bridge, Clark Dietz was awarded that contract. If you were following all the math before, you might know that we have about $400,000 left in our bridge bond that would be applied to that, which will be just enough based on early estimates, assuming we also are successful in winning community crossings for that project. It's a little smaller bridge, a little smaller scope. We've already acquired all the right-of-way, so there is no right-of-way cost associated with that. So it can be done quite a bit cheaper, but that is, things are getting a little tight there on the budget. And obviously, we won't know till that project comes in, probably sometime in 2022. But we'll keep you posted. Let's see, Grant Street's the next one on my list. Right-of-way buying has proceeded. Neighborhood coordination meeting is expected for the end of April. So we'll have a neighborhood coordination meeting just before we get into May, ahead of the June start for the bridge reconstruction on William Street that's being done by the county. Keep in mind the Grant Street reconstruction really won't start till 2023. But as we're beginning the right-of-way buying process, we want to have that other coordination meeting. In that same area, Fordyce Street, we're still working through our reimbursement agreements with Fisher Homes. I will say that project has been delayed a little bit from where we were thinking the project would fall in our construction schedule, and it's getting us to the point where, as we go into right-of-way acquisitions, depending on how that process goes and if it goes smoothly or if it ends up being delayed and going into certain condemnation hearings, that project may be delayed in such a way that we'll want to intentionally delay it a little further. What we don't want to have happen is Fordyce Road and Grant Street to be under construction at the same time. So we've had a good conversation with the mayor and members of our bond council, our financial advisors, a couple of city council members. We're going to keep moving forward down the path, but if we're not ready to go to construction next spring, which is a little bit aggressive on the right-of-way acquisition schedule, we may have to make the decision to just delay that till after the Grant Street construction is complete. So just to keep everybody posted as to what's happening there. And then talk about the bike park a little bit, Stone Eater Bike Park. We did finally get a request for additional information from IDEM last week, what they call an RAI, request for additional information. This is for some additional groundwater testing, some gas testing, not anything that we're necessarily surprised by. We're going to work on responding to those requests in the next 30 days to keep the project on schedule. I will also say that one positive thing on the IDEM's response is they've already permitted us to start stockpiling material. So they feel confident that a construction release is imminent. We just have to provide them with some additional information. And again, we're working with different providers and sources for stockpiled material. And once we get erosion control approvals, we will look to start stockpiling that material on site. Hopefully for a construction release that will happen late spring, early summer. Remind everyone, we have a BZA hearing to appeal the director's decision that regarding a special exception and the requirements of that, and that is Wednesday this week, Wednesday the 24th at 7 p.m. to be held at the Whit Pavilion at the 4-H Fairgrounds. Again, we feel confident that this appeal will go in our favor. As we said, we feel that we have the legal high ground, if you will, because their ordinance clearly states that publicly owned recreation facilities are permitted by right in the county in this zoning district. And we're not for sure why they're asking for a special exception, so we feel confident that we will be successful in that appeal for that request. So again, if you're a supporter of the park or you just want to hear what's happening, come out to the BZA hearing on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. and get more information. Then just some construction updates from our inspection department. Sunbrook Villas Phase 1, all that infrastructure is complete. We're still looking at mid-April for some Whit Road improvements that will be required that will involve a road closure there. We'll keep everybody posted as we get closer to that date. Also good news that Phase 2 construction documents have also been filed for that project. So they're already moving into Phase 2, and I believe the first home in there is already sold, even though it's only just started construction. Also in that area, Sunbrook Phase 2, water main installation, storm sewer installation is complete. All the water services are complete. Still waiting on some curb repairs and finish lot grading before we wrap up that section. Jumping across the north side over to Auburn Meadows Phase 3, storm and water installation is now complete. Water mains are being tested and water service installations will start shortly. Out in the business park, work continues on Building 16. They're working on their east drainage basins. New cold project, our continuing foundation work, continuing the installation of private storm sewer and water mains, and they are boring in their water lines under Evans and moving that project forward. And then a couple other miscellaneous projects. The Lebanon Airstream project is back up and running. We've lifted that stop work order. They're back up and going there. All our site permits are now in place. Pratt Storage, they're on the south side as well. They're digging some footings as we speak. The IMI site is also working through, there's a stop work order there working on plans and permits as that project, before that project moves forward. Also, the Syracuse Drive water main project by Lebanon Utilities is ongoing. It's probably about 20% complete as we speak. They're replacing the water mains and water services along Syracuse Drive. And then also in that general area, the Key Car Wash, some work has started, and we have issued site-related permits there, but not a whole lot of activity going, other than you've seen some of the asphalt removed. That's all I have.
Thank you, Kevin. Any questions for the board for Kevin?
No.
Anything from the public? Okay, thanks, sir. Next up is Planning Department, Ben Bontrager.
Good evening, board members. As we mentioned, with the weather starting to get warmer, a lot of activities picking up. Kevin talked about a lot of the construction is underway, but we're also seeing a lot of planning activity from the approval side starting to come to us. On the construction side, we did complete an additional 34 building inspections over the last couple of weeks and issued 33 permits, running the range from a couple of small remodel or addition permits all the way up to and including some new stuff that we're seeing come in. We certainly have some neighborhoods under construction, so we expect to see those residential permits starting to increase once those lots become available over the next couple of months. So we expect to see that activity increase. On the code enforcement side, to continue to remain very active there. A lot of additional activity taking place over the last couple of weeks, and added at least 11 new cases. And again, now when it's starting to get warmer, it means grass is going to start to grow and other things will start to show up in people's backyards that were covered by snow a few weeks ago. So we do expect activity related to grass and weeds will pick up here not too long, as well as junk and trash and those other things you start seeing in the springtime. So that activity will continue to move forward, and I know we're doing a lot of work to create those, make those processes in terms of code enforcement more efficient, so we can just continue to process additional cases that we see every year. Finally, in terms of some of the new things coming on board, the park impact fee ordinance will be on the council's agenda this evening for first reading. So that, as long as all goes well, should be adopted in April. And we do have a 6-month waiting period for that. Before the end of the year, we should have a park impact fee in place. We can start collecting fees from new development, residential development related to that. So that's good news there. And in terms of new projects, I know the Brakeman project just over here on Lebanon Street's been ongoing for several years now. As I suggested at the redevelopment commission meeting last time, I think we've been on the 2-yard line probably about five times on that project, and we keep getting penalties and having to start over a little bit. But we are very close. The redevelopment commission and the community development corporation both approved an amendment to the project agreement, so we're getting that executed this week. At that point, then we can start getting all the final documents executed over the next few weeks. And I think the goal then is within 2 to 3 months, that project will close and we'll start construction. So we should be seeing some activity on that project within about 3 months, sometime this summer. So that's great news there. Same thing, I know a lot of people have asked over the last few years, the properties on North 11th Street that are owned by Ironman Properties, just as you can go north out of town. Good news there, they have filed they have filed a development plan application to construct an apartment project on that site. So we now have a development plan that's being proposed there on that site. So there should be they're again thinking of sometime this summer to start construction there as well. So two great projects, again, assuming that gets approved, that should be started this summer in downtown. So that's great news, along with all the other residential projects we got coming forward and all the other things that Kevin has mentioned. So a lot of great activity there. I'm pretty excited to see what happens over the course of the year. So that's all I've got. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ben. Any questions for Ben from the board?
No.
Anything from the public? Okay, thanks, sir. Next is Street and Stormwater Department, Dave Newell.
How's everybody doing tonight? Like John, we're enjoying the weather. Been a little busy with some of the rain, keeping the drains cleaned off. That's always a struggle. We've had a few signs that we've had to repair. From most of them, a couple of them were for the winter, but when that big snow hit, we just had to kind of wait to dig in the ground once they located it. We're out today and have been going out at least once a week here while we're kind of waiting for business to pick up, getting all of our easements cleaned up. So we went out again today, cleaned up all the easements. I know Cox Avenue is a pretty heavy one over by the truck stop, but we got it all wiped out again today. We always track all that for MS4 reports and stuff, so it's good to do. We did have 3 trees go down on us the last little ice storm, so we got those all. Might have been technically 4, but anyway, we got all those cleaned up. Kurt Frischauer helped us with one that was kind of on Yule, and we didn't want it to land on the house, so he took his big equipment and we just cleaned it up. But we got those taken care of. Luckily, it wasn't worse than that. We got pretty lucky. We moved on from doing some of the cold patch repairs in the alleys now, so we're off the roads as much, trying to wait on the hot mix now. But I think we got all the holes for now on the roads. I'm sure there's more we haven't found yet, but definitely moved to the alley side of it. We did do a drain repair on Grant Street. I'm trying to think where that one was, but we had a big repair there. We're waiting to do one right there by William Street. We was going to start today, but with the rain coming in, we didn't want to cause our own problems, so we held off on that one. I wanted to give out a reminder that we do spring cleanup will be coming up April 23rd or Friday, April 23rd, and Saturday, April 24th, from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. both days. Things we will not be accepting is electronics, televisions, paint, hazardous materials, or tires. A lot of people get confused with that, so we want to make it clear we still do accept refrigerators and air conditioners, just not the hazardous stuff. This event is rain or shine, so once it's done, it's done. A good time. It kind of goes hand in hand with Ben and them, trying to clean up around town, and people can bring it in, no charges. They just get rid of it. I do believe the county does their hazardous ones the same day, but I wasn't 100% sure. I didn't get a chance to call them today, but I'm pretty sure they run the same day. But I think there's just one day Saturday, I believe.
Yeah, someone solid waste board it'll be that Saturday.
Okay.
Yep.
I want to make sure that. I didn't want to throw something out there because with last year we moved our date, so it kind of threw us off. We did release, if you want to go on the city website or on our Facebook page, and we put it in the paper. A lot of times things don't go in the paper, but we put all of our brush weeks and our yard debris week. Well, we call it yard debris week, but it's moved into 2 weeks now anymore. But we're going to run that from April 5th till April 16th this year. So basically have all your brush and your leaves separated in different piles out by the street, by the curb, and we'll pick them up. Also during that week, that 2 weeks, we'll have our street sweeper out. Weather's starting to warm up, so we'll be able to go through, clean up the city real good after the winter. And then for the rest of the season, I'll give you some of our brush week schedules. We went ahead and sat down and tried to get those out to the public so they would know. So maybe we don't have brush sitting everywhere. They can kind of pile it out when we do our brush weeks. The first one's obviously April 5th through the 16th. We're going to go ahead and run that one 2 weeks. That's when we do our yard debris. But after that, it'll be, let's see. And that does run, from April till October of 2021 for this season. April 5th through April 16th is our first one. May 10th through May 14th will be in May's. June's will be June 7th through June 11th. July's will be July 12th through July 16th. August will be August 9th through August 13th. September week will be September 13th through September 17th. And then October's week will be October 11th through October 15th. And that's usually when we start rolling over, getting trucks ready for winter. So, also on these same dates, we're going to try a little better schedule. We had a pretty good one going last year, but we're going to try to be more aggressive about the week of brush week. With our schedule we got set up, we should be able to make it through, so we'll have our sweeper out that week too. And we should be able to make it from end to end each week with our sweeper, and so once a month we'll get a good sweeping as well. As long, we're going to try to follow our brush because sometimes that makes a mess, and our sweeper will come around and just try to keep the town looking better. But that's all I got. Keep it out of the drains and stuff. But that's all we got for our report.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Any questions for Dave from the board? Any questions from the public? Yeah, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Next up is Communications and Community Development, Joe LePage.
Good evening, everyone. If you take the time and visit on the World Wide Web, lebanon.in.gov, you'll see quite a few changes that have already taken place, and some more that will be taking place very shortly. Some headshots for boards, some city employees have been edited and placed on the site. Finished up the clerk treasurer's office today with the headshots, and a couple in our engineering office. Looking forward to adding more images, copy, and content, again, on lebanon.in.gov. Banners and tigers. Banners were picked up today from Mounts Graphics and delivered to our street department. They'll be on display on West Main Street, 32 of those, and then some large ones that'll go around the square with the other ones that have been up there returning as well. So if we get a couple nice weather days in a row without the rain, that nice weather sticks around, we expect to see more banners going up and some images that some folks haven't seen, and I'll release that on banners certainly. And so looking forward to sharing that with the community. We unveiled our latest tiger, Melvin, at the corner of Meridian and Washington Streets, the Lions Club Tiger, lions and tigers and statues, oh my. That one is the 18th, that is the 17th, 18, 19, 20 are Central Elementary, Stokes Elementary, and Lebanon High School. We have already picked up Central, delivered her to the Parks office to be able to be coated and eventually have a concrete pedestal put on it. The one from Stokes Elementary is set to be completed by this week, end of this week, and then we're still coordinating a time with the folks at Lebanon High School to get theirs. They assure us by the end of the year we'll be able to have that one to unveil to the community. So looking forward to having all 20. And once that happens, you'll see a page on our website that will detail our Tiger Trail, and there'll be incentives and rewards if you have your picture taken with all 20. There's even some buzz about maybe having a second round of tigers, and so that's TBD at this point. Coming up tomorrow, 7:00 p.m. at the Lebanon Police Department Community Room is the Farmers Market Call Out. Looking forward to having another socially distanced and fun market season. The cost for vendors for the entire season this year is $50, and that gets you through the summer, and there are some along the way to kind of bridge the gap before the sweet market, which takes place in December. Great program will be added this year, and will be the $50 that vendors are asked to pay will be passed right along to be able to bring in some programming to drive some more shoppers to downtown Lebanon and the great vendors that have been showing up in years past, and then looking forward to enticing some new ones for the 21 market here at Lebanon City Market.
Hey, Joe, when was that date again for the call out?
It is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Yep, the 23rd. And it's at the Lebanon Police Department Community Room, and so it's right along Main Street. There'll be some signage out there where folks can see park, door on the side will be open, and it's a great room that Chief Morgan allows us to utilize with the community. And so we'll go over the markets there. Something a little bit different this year is we're having the vendors be able to pick their spots, first pay, first pick. And so we have all the market spaces. Missy Krulik with the Heart of Lebanon has laid out the spaces for those vendors, and so they can pick where they'd like to be along the Big Four Trail, which is where the market is located there, right near 1830 Chop House and Greeks. It's going to be a really fun year with the restaurants open and out and about, and having that outdoor seating yet again. And finally, Boone County Summerfest is set to begin and kick off on June 5th. That's going to happen June 5th and 6th. 8 bands, 2 days, in one great county in Boone County. Some wonderful live music. Big thanks to our Convention and Visitors Bureau and Blonde Entertainment, and of course the city for being able to put this thing together. Looking forward to great live music, great food, and some fun beverages as well. We're looking forward to pairing with some local folks to be able to bring a lot of fun things and some of those farmers market vendors there as well, to be able to have just a great family-friendly, good for all ages live music event to kind of kick off the summer. So looking forward to that June 5th and 6th.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Any questions for Joe from the board? Anything from the public? Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, that concludes department head reports. Move on to old business. I don't have anything on my old business. Is there anything for the board?
No.
Okay, new business then. First up is a alley closure request from 1830 Chop House at 111 West Main Street in Rob Crawford.
Thank you for taking the time to see me this evening and allow me to present this to you. As everybody's mentioned, the weather's gotten really nice, and it's kind of that time to start thinking about sitting outdoors and enjoying a drink and a good meal. So we've got the 1830 Chop House, which opened at 111 West Main there on the south side of Public Square in November. Business has been very good, great reception from the community and from surrounding communities. I think it represents real well. And now we're looking to expand how we present our offerings to the community and surroundings. So what I'd like to present to you tonight is the outdoor venue, utilizing the alley that runs north-south on the south side there. We've got some renderings here that show how we're going to try to set this up. 4-foot tables flanking each side of the alley up against the two buildings there. Obviously, that's our building there on the left, and then the building on the right. There's another view of this. There'll be alcohol served, so there will be a need for fencing, and how we fence that just needs to kind of define the immediate area. It doesn't have to be a complete closure of that alley. So you'll see how we've got this pretty much set up so you cut about 5 foot, 5 foot on either side. The alley's 16 foot, so that still gives you clear 6-foot passage through the alley, or through at least the gate area, but you technically still have 8-foot passage through the alley to comply with ADA requirements, obviously. There's an overhead. This would be in the front. Now, if you look at the rendering, it's backwards. The concrete's actually against the building, and then the brick is out further. That's a 12-foot offset from the building. But you can see what we've done. We've gone out 12 feet, which then allows for the complete walk path to still be clear, and that would give lounge and seating area out in front of the building. This is an overhead view, which would give you a clear idea. You'll see there in the back how there's 2 fences. That's actually gates, and we'll kind of touch on that a little more clearly here in a minute, because there was some great input we received from a meeting we had last week. But this kind of, if you can see the black outlines, that gives you a clear definition of the kind of footprint that we're requesting. Some of the furniture details, and you might have to remind me if this goes to HPC or does this happen?
That goes to HPC.
Okay,
Yep.
so furniture, fencing, and the gate in the rear obviously goes to HPC, but I want to be able to present a clear picture to you of what we're trying to achieve here. The Sullivan Series 48-inch tables, rectangular tables, they'll be black powder coated, so they're aluminum black powder coated with the black chairs. This will help complement what the city's already doing on the courthouse there. There's a fence option, that design with that footprint and the how it's not anchored to the ground, but they're weighted feet. This particular sample that the vendor supplied to us has the customer's logo on it. We don't intend to put any logo on it. We're just going to stay with the simple design of the triangular setup inside the rectangle or the square fence. And then we want to kind of get into the back gate detail. So there was a lot of conversation about, you're sitting in this alley, and while CVS is a great place, you may not want to stare at it while you're eating your meal. And then there's some, issues with that alley really starts to become a wind tunnel at certain times throughout the year. So we thought about how do we create, a little bit of atmosphere, break up that wind, break up the view. And we went back and forth a little bit and came up with a really great idea. Thank you to Kevin for that idea of putting up gates that are movable and can open and close. So this is what we've come up with here in some conversation is a couple of gates where we can pin them to the ground, and then the only thing we'd have to do to the actual bricks is drill those, sleeve them for pins, and we'd have drop-in pins to keep the gates from moving. Offset 5 foot to comply with the ADA requirements. And the gate being movable is then, an off-season, or if there's a reason for maintenance requirements where they need clear passage through the alley, then we're not dealing with that kind of structure that's, obstructing. Here's a good overhead view. Obviously, one kind of give you a little idea, and then clearly, these are 10-foot gates. It kind of doesn't play out nice on that drawing that you see on the right side, but 10 foot, 10 foot, being a 16-foot alley, that just gives you a 2-foot overlap. However, the offset of 5 foot complies with the ADA requirements. That shows the detail enclosed. And then this would be open. So this would be, if maintenance is required, they need to get into the alley. The city needs access through there. And then obviously in off-season, it just makes it really user-friendly for everybody involved. And then, again, I recognize this goes to HPC for final approval, but to kind of present the full picture to you this evening, these are some of the ideas we've got for what that would look like.
Is that it? Good? Yeah, so, when we built the alley, this was kind of the vision for it, that we wanted to activate the alleys and make it usable for the public, but also for the restaurants in the area as well, too. So I guess first, to start off, any questions for Rob from the board about kind of how they've laid it out? It would still remain fully accessible to the public. You could walk through it if you chose to do so. We don't necessarily have, I don't think it's used very a lot for pedestrians now. It's just not used a lot for that. There isn't necessarily things to walk to back there, but it would still, if they wanted to, they still could walk through that space. So that's, just wanted to make sure that was clear. We're also not talking about we're still retaining ownership of this. So this is just I call it it's a temporary approval, but hopefully it's a temporary one that goes for a long time for you guys as long as we're there. So again, we still retain ownership of this alley. It's still a public alley. It can be accessed by the public. That's what's going on. So again, it's just created another new space, and I think we've all seen the importance of outdoor dining, especially with COVID. And again, hopefully activate a very nice space for this area. So any questions for Rob before we, yep, go ahead.
Not for Rob, but are we looking to close this off for a time frame, or are we looking to just give them the use within the time frame to install the gates and so forth?
So my thought is to approve the usage, I know it says alley closure on here, but it's really almost an alley usage request. It's already not open to cars, obviously it's a pedestrian alley only anyway now. So my thought is to kind of just do approve the use request, and then essentially that works for 1830 Chop House, and if, hopefully this never happens, but if a tenant changes, then we have to do a different approval because they have a different layout, something like that. So we kind of would approve it for them until we have, unless hopefully nothing, knock on wood, nothing, if we still have a problem, we have to revisit it, something like that. So kind of put it in place until, a future date that, isn't set now, but again, hopefully I think we try to work with them, begin to kind of work out any issues, and again, we want to make sure we maintained ADA accessibility to this alley, make sure we're still open to the public, it was not totally closed off. That's kind of what I envision with it.
So we'll be approving the use of the alley. What about the front sidewalk area that they'd like to use?
It'd be the same part of this.
That's something different, or does that go to?
It can be done as one, kind of the whole approval, because the sidewalk is technically still the city's as well, right? So that's kind of where we would approve it. Similar to what we did with the Clues Brews last meeting.
I just don't want the trail part blocked, so
right.
People could still use
that.
Yep,
and it stays off that trail if it's only on the concrete portion of it. Yep, absolutely.
So we'd call it an alley usability?
Our use request, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
It's just a question I would ask. Obviously, you are here with a good plan and a layout, but there's some considerable investment that's involved. And if you don't have a date or some kind of timeline on this in terms of the usage permit or whatever you want to call it, are you comfortable with that?
I don't know that I completely understand the question, because I didn't present a timeline, or is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm just saying, if you're going to invest with all of the things that your plan here shows, you're going to have a considerable investment in terms of what you're doing in the alley. And since it's a usage permit or approval, but there's no time that that's involved here. It's just kind of open. I'm just asking, are you comfortable with that?
Well, I would hope to be able to work together as channel partners to say this works for us, and that the clear passage that we can maintain will be not only a short-term but a long-term plan for us to work together on justifying that investment on our behalf, yes.
I guess the question, do you want to, I look at it as though you probably have an opportunity maybe to use it 9 months out of the year.
Correct.
And 3 months out of the year, you're not going to use it.
Well, and instead of having him come back to us every single year,
Yeah,
right, that's
yeah.
kind of where I'm saying,
Yeah,
let's,
okay.
and that's kind of where I was thinking,
Yeah.
if we'd approve it once, and then if a tenant changes, then they would come, because they may want to do something different, right?
Decide what you're going to do, but.
Right. Okay, now I'm a little more clear on what I was having a hard time keeping up with you there. I guess I would stand here and request that as long as 1830 Chop House maintains the lease as a tenant at that property, and they can maintain that alley in good functioning order, that they would be allowed to continue with this as I presented it. That would be my request.
Versus trying to approve it for 5 years, right, and then, who knows the change, right? That's kind of where I was thinking, make it tenant-based versus, we haven't done a lot of these, right, so we're kind of a little bit, I know we approved some, but nobody ever really took advantage of it, so I think you guys may be our first one, so to speak, to use this, so.
And we still maintain ownership. So
We do, yes, yeah,
That's
it's,
that's
We're
good.
just allowing them to use it to
correct. Yep.
see outdoor seating.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm clear now.
And also to just clarify too, the alcohol rules are approved by the state. So if we approve the outdoor seating, right, we may make a motion to just be totally clear that it doesn't insinuate that we allow them to serve alcohol out there, because that's then regulated by the excise and all that as well too. So just make that clear to everybody. Any other questions from the board? Is there any public comment concerning this? Go ahead, Dave. I think, Kevin, we ordered some more trash cans, I believe?
We put 6 additional trash cans.
Yep. Yep. Okay. With that, any other public comment? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion concerning the alley usage request for 1830 Chop House as presented.
I'll make a motion that we approve the usage of the alley there at 1830 Chop House for outside dining. Do we need to approve the liquor as well?
Sure.
And I'll approve of the use of liquor while they're open in the alley, using the alley for dining. Also approve the outside diagram for outside seating out front, just as long as it does not block the trail itself. I'll approve that as well.
Okay.
Add that to the motion.
Okay. Yeah, and just to add it, well, he did it for 1830 Chop House though, so he did say that. So, okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Motion and a second from Bill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that's approved. Rob, I forgot to ask you, time frame on this, potentially?
Well, I'm waiting for HPC to get
Okay.
that, and then, yeah, we'd really love to have it open by May.
By May, great, that'd be great to hear. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob, appreciate it. Okay, next up, bid award for the Whit Road Bridge. Kevin Krulik.
Thank you. When I was last here before you, we opened bids for the Whit Road Bridge project. We opened 2 bids at that time. We received a bid from HIS Constructors and Morphe Construction. And upon the initial reading, it appeared that HIS was the apparent low bidder. After review of the bid packages, that stands. The bid prices come in as follows. The road portion of the HIS proposal was $329,520. The bridge structure was $432,287. And then there was a deduct alternate if they were awarded both projects that totaled $17,287. So the total contract price for HIS, their bid price was $744,520. By comparison, Morphe's was $1,023,678. Also worth comparing that our community crossing application estimate had the bridge total at $657,790. So this was a little more expensive than what we were hoping, about $87,000 more expensive than what we were hoping. But our community crossing grant application was based on that $657,790 estimate, giving us a community crossing grant of $328,895. So if you, what we were asking for tonight is that you would authorize me, pending legal review and signatures from the mayor, to issue a notice of award to HIS Constructors for the Whit Road Bridge road and structure improvements at a total contract cost of $744,520. I mentioned this earlier in my report, but if you add in the other costs, we had engineering at $82,100, right-of-way engineering at $33,060, right-of-way buying estimated at $43,440, with a soft cost total, if you will, of $158,600. We're assuming we go into this with a contingency of about 10%, so roughly about $74,000. And then our inspection contract is for $25,300. So when you take the $744,520, you subtract off the community crossing grant application of $328,895, subtract off its total soft cost, the pre-construction cost of $158,600. When you subtract off the contingency and inspection, you get to a total contract or total project cost, if you will, of $673,977. This is where I told you that leaves about less than $400,000 for construction of the Elmwood Bridge. But just to, I guess, run by the numbers for everybody's benefit one more time, we're estimating that bridge a little cheaper because it's smaller at $500,000. We're estimating a community crossing grant of $250,000. Engineering, we know, is $85,000. There is no right-of-way engineering or right-of-way buying associated with that project. There's existing right-of-ways in Elmwood and in Hewlin. And then inspection, we're estimating at $25,000, contingencies at $50,000, gives us a total Elmwood Bridge price estimated right now, granted it won't happen for a year to 2 years, is $410,000. So if you add the 410 and the 673,977, I know it's a lot of numbers, we're at $1,084,000. We had $1 million in our bond. So just let you know where we're at. We may have to sharpen our pencil. We may have to look at some additional funding. Keep in mind there's also in those prices roughly $125,000 in contingencies. So back to where we are at the matter of hand. We're asking for your approval to issue notice of award, pending legal review and authorization from the mayor for HIS Constructors at $744,520.
Good, Rob.
And Mayor, if I may, and Kevin, I know you and I spoke about this, but you found this bidder to be the lowest, most responsive, and most responsible bidder, correct?
Absolutely. Thank you for calling that to my attention. Yes. Our legal department reviewed the bid package, also our engineers and myself, and we find the HIS Constructors bid package to be the lowest, most responsible, and responsive bid package that was submitted.
Yep. Any questions for Kevin on that project?
Nope.
Or on that? Okay, then, would entertain a motion to issue a notice of award to HIS Construction for the Whit Road Bridge Road and Structure project, pending final legal review and authorizing the mayor to sign on your behalf for a total award amount of, for $744,520.
I make a motion, we award the bid for the road and structure of Whit Road Bridge for a total of $744,520, subject to legal review and signature of the mayor.
Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Thank you, Kevin, and if we can not use those contingencies, I think we'd be okay, so let's
Hopefully.
do that. Okay, that concludes what I have for new business. Is there anything from council, or from the board? Excuse me.
Nope.
Okay, move on to claims then. It would entertain a motion concerning the claims.
I make a motion, we approve the claims.
We have a motion to approve the claims. Is there a second? Second. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Claims are approved. And would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second. We have a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Our next Board of Works meeting will be Monday, April 12th at 5:30 PM. Thanks for watching. City Council's up next.